You're probably here because you're finding it a little bit difficult in finding your way about leadership, finding your way on how to manage people well, and finding your way on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur. Any one of these things are the topics that we cover. I'm your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. I am so glad that you took the first step of being here to learn more about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management because the world needs more people like you. We will help you to invest in yourself because that's something that is worth doing. That is something that is worth learning. If you have questions about entrepreneurship, maybe you're having problems at work or you're having some leadership problems or managing other people, boy, I have news for you. We have what we call a masterclass. Most of the courses in the masterclass deal with how you can generate revenue online. It deals with leadership, how to lead in crisis, how to break through the crisis in business, in entrepreneurship, and how you can manage other people better. Now, I always say the best kind of investment is an investment in yourself. And how much money are we charging for this masterclass? Not a lot. And if you invest in one, it's yours to keep. And if it doesn't, I'll refund you, no questions asked, full refund. So why don't you try it out? Head on over to sean.c/masterclass and check out any one of the courses if it fits any one of the questions in your head. And if you have any questions, you can just put it on the comment section and we'll get in touch with you. We want to know who you are and we want to hear from you. Until then, keep leading.
Hello, hello. All right. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. For those of you on Discord, thank you, Len, Patrick, for being early. And for those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Periscope, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We have a couple of questions tonight. Looks like it's going to be a shorter session tonight. So, I'm excited. For those of you who haven't followed the podcast yet, we are on Spotify, and the link is down there, leadme.ph/Spotify. We publish episodes every week. For this week, I do believe that we have published already 4 episodes. And I'm going to share my screen just for you guys to know what it looks like on Spotify. There you go. That's the Leadership Stack podcast right there. We have April 29, 28, and 27, so 3 episodes. And we did put out the episode with Marvin and JC. So that's a trio episode, tatlo kami nun. How fresh graduates can invest smart. Ayan. So if you are a fresh grad, or you're on the young side, you might want to listen to this 17-minute episode. And my episodes with Mr. David Angel actually came out about selling. Really good salesperson here. I learned a lot in that episode. So we have how to effectively sell your service. Now, why is sales so important? Because nothing happens until someone sells something. Nothing happens until someone sells something. That's Henry Ford. And why he said that is because you're not going to be here if you're not sold to the idea that you're going to learn something tonight. Your kids are not going to want to eat vegetables if they're not sold to the idea that vegetables are actually good for them. So nothing happens until someone sells something. This is why sales is so important. And the more you learn about it, the better you become at it, which is really good for you. We also have the latest episode, how to keep moving forward as an entrepreneur. Our series with Mr. Jason Law has also launched, so you might want to check that out as well. And we have a host of other episodes, 190 episodes, I believe. Madami na siyang episodes. And we are also on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please do visit the YouTube channel. The link is down there, leadme.ph/YouTube. So if you are more of the visual kind of person, you like watching the podcast, you could go to YouTube instead. I'm gonna jump right ahead and answer some questions that we have. The first one, oh yeah, this is gonna be a solo episode. It's not gonna be episode with guests tonight. Uh, yeah, we wanna keep some solo episodes going as well, but we do also want to keep inviting guests over. For those of you who are wondering, is that going to continue on? We have scheduled some guests. It's just that for tonight, I'm going solo, and we'll keep it short and sweet. From Janine, how do you manage business finances? Business finances, when I was starting out, it was an Excel file. That's it. So everything that I was making, I'd put there. Everything that I was spending on, I'd also put there. So at the end of the month, I know how much money I made and how much money I spent and what's my net profit. It's not that hard for my business because we are a services based business. So our expenses would mostly be payroll. Unlike if you're an inventory trading business, you have a lot of stocks, items, you keep on buying and selling them throughout the month. It gets a little bit more complicated. So with that, you might want to use an app. We have so many inventory management apps out there, but if you're just starting out, Excel does really fine. I have nothing against Excel. When we were growing, actually up to today, I still have that Excel file and I still use it as a big picture perspective of what's happening in my cash flow. Money coming in, money going out, but it's not nitty gritty anymore. The one who really tracks the nitty gritty would be my wife. All of the receipts go through her, and we collect a lot of receipts also, and we pass that on to the admin. So the finance right now looks a lot more complicated because a lot more people are involved. With the payroll, the HR is involved as well, with checking the time in, time out. And so it gets a little bit more complicated, but I'm not going to make it complicated for you because I really didn't do it na isang bagsak. We did it step by step. We started from the Excel file and tracked whatever we can track at the beginning and then grew from there. We made it a little bit more sophisticated when the need arose, and that's how it's probably going to be for you as well. Next question. How do I know when it's possible for me to turn my hobby into a business? When there is a viable market, when they actually want to buy from you, when what they want to buy from you is something that you can source or produce. So, speaking from one of the experiences that I have, I turned my aquascaping hobby into a small micro business. So I sell aquatic plants and livestock on the website, made the price um, very competitive by checking out what's in the market. And it's doing quite well. It's doing quite well, I would say. Um, Before I turned it into a business, I had an overflow of stock. And I know I'm going to have a weekly overflow of stock that I'm not going to use and I'm just going to throw away. So I decided to start the website so as not to throw away those plants and those the fishes because they're overpopulating already. They're overgrowing the tanks that I have, and sayang naman. So instead of throwing them away, I put them for sale on the site, and I don't run ads. I don't want to oversell them. So I don't run any ads. It's just SEO. People search, they find the website, they add to cart, check out, and we got a sale going for aquascape.ph. So for me, that's how I turned it into a business. I realized there's demand, and I realized that the competition is not really that great. They don't have their own website, they're not organized, and I figured that might be something that people would want to shop from. A really good website, good experience on mobile and desktop. And just so happens that I have SEO hacker, and it's something that we can do. So there's my competitive advantage there, and we just shot at it. Gave it a shot, and it's working pretty well. That's what I could say. What do I need to upgrade my passion from a hobby into a business? Well, you need to be able to sell. That's the first thing. So for me, with the aquascape.ph, that is a platform for me to be able to sell the aqua plants well, and to sell them perpetually. I'm not gonna be a salesperson na ilalako ko yung plants and livestock ko. I'm not gonna sell them in any other platform than the website, because I want to sell passively. I don't want to keep selling, running ads, posting on Facebook. So this is how the website looks like. We have the products for sale here. When I have products for sale, it's usually because I have an overgrowth of them. I'm overstocked already. They're growing too fast, and I want to get rid of them, or I want people to just buy them outright immediately para my tank would look fresh again, because I have to cut them and pack them and ship them. So needless to say, I take really good care of my plants, and we have the fertilizers there, really good substrate and stuff, and we make it super easy for people to just buy. So all the stats are here. Is it this CO2 required? What's the growth rate? What's the propagation light? And yeah, we put the stock here. We have reviews going on. So you need to sell, and you need a platform to sell. That's what you need to upgrade your passion from a hobby to a business. Because when it's a hobby, you're not selling. There's not You're not doing anything to sell. So you need a platform. How are people gonna be knowing about your products? How are people gonna be knowing that you're breeding shrimps and you're selling them, right? So these blue shrimps, they're actually all here at the tank right behind me. And I bought like 10 of them. They've bred like crazy. There's now like, I don't know, 100 of them here. We've sold a good number of these already. I don't want to sell them too fast as well, because it's not like I'm farming them. It's a hobby. I'm not really growing them to be big and fat in a small or short amount of time. I take care of them well. I make sure that the color pigmentation is really good, and that makes for a really high quality product. Selling and shipping, it's not that hard as well. Hindi ako nagtitipid with the packaging. So I bought really good packaging for them, and makes it also consistent with the look and feel of the website, that it's organized, it has good branding, a good name to it, and so on. What made you want to turn your love of aquascaping to a business? So I guess I mentioned it earlier na I have an overgrown and overstock. So instead of throwing them, and I do throw them to my aquaponics pond, I have a lot of red tilapia, and they actually eat the plants. So sometimes I cut the plants, I throw it there, they eat it, because tilapia is the cichlid type of fish, and they just eat pretty much anything. So they eat it. Um, and that's fine for me, because they're plants. They're actually quite healthy for the tilapia, and we eat the tilapia. So I'm happy about that. So it's an overstock. I have an overstock, an overgrowth, and they're overpopulating already. So I decided to turn it into a business. Also, ginastusan ko siya eh. So I wanna make that money back. I wanna make that money back. I don't want it to be an all expense kind of hobby. So I figured turning it into a business is a good idea, which my wife naman supported. How do I know when it's possible for me to quit my job to focus on turning my hobby into a successful business? Um, you know when it has replaced the income. For me, when it has replaced the income of your day job, then it might be a good idea already to do the business full time. That's because it's going to be able to pay for your expenses, your livelihood, and you know that it's a proven market. Also, make sure that it has been able to sustain itself as a profitable business for a year or so before you actually quit your job. That's That's a really good idea to just to play it safe because businesses may curves yan eh. Sometimes malakas ang negosyo, sometimes hindi. So you have to know and realize when those times are, and you have to save up for the rainy days, no? Emergency fund. It's very important. My episode with Marvin and Tony Aquino, we discussed how important emergency funds are. That is, if emergencies happen, you have to quit, may nagkasakit, you have to pay for those bills which you can't really escape, then you have something to use. And you have something na hindi ka sobrang stress at naghahabol ng naghahabol mag-utang, no? So, very, very important. How can I compute how much money I will need to turn my hobby into a business? You just have to compute the initial investment. So for me, it's a website. Since again I own SEO Hacker, didn't really cost me a lot. Yeah, so we did the design, we did the write up, we did the images, and yeah, it didn't cost me talaga no with the website. But if you're gonna have a website built, you have to add that in your capital investment. So it depends. It depends on how you want to turn it into a business. For me kasi it's a website eh. May mga iba gusto nila front facing na na store. Gusto nila brick and mortar. So that's actually going to cost a lot more, right? So just compute how much capital you're going to be using up. If it's a brick and mortar store, you have to compute the rent contract. You have to compute the if you're gonna hire an architect, an interior designer, an engineer for building the space. So all of that has to be considered. But if it's just gonna be a website or a Facebook page, usually hobbies naman it starts from a website or a Facebook page. Eh. So it doesn't really cost a lot. You just have to have a marketing budget, a working website, and that's it. How can I find financiers that can help turn my hobby into a business? For me, if it's your hobby and you can just do it online naman, turning it into a business like Facebook or websites, just don't go looking for a financer na because you love it naman eh. It's your hobby. You would know how to sell it best and you probably know the market best. Like for me, aquascaping is not really a broad market hobby. Not a lot of people have an aquarium tank at home that they want to escape, that they want to take care of. So it's a niche hobby. You have to know your market. You have to know what they like. You have to know what's important to them so that you can serve them well. So, for example, with the aquascaping hobby that I have, when I turned it into a business, I know that what's important for a lot of them, the buyers, would be having free plants that are different species. And so, since I have an overstock, I always make it a point to put in free plants for them. So, you have to know your target market. For me, if it's a hobby, don't need to really look for financiers. Is crowdsourcing a good way to turn my hobby into a business? Well, for me, if you're gonna use crowdsourcing to ask them if they're gonna buy or if they're gonna, mostly for surveying, that's what I'd say. If you're gonna survey people, hey, are you gonna buy this? If this is how much it's gonna cost, then it is a good way. But if you're talking about crowdsourcing for financing, again, for me, just don't look for financing if it's a hobby naman eh. Because you're gonna know how to do it best. So don't look for financing anymore. Just do it yourself. Start small. Learn how to react to your market. Learn how to serve them well. Learn what's important for them, and keep on doing that. So with the aquascape.ph example kanina, I know it's important for a lot of the newbies in the hobby to know anong plants ba yung kailangan ko ng CO2. It's a hassle kasi to need to have CO2 in your tank, carbon dioxide. You're gonna have to get a DIY set to make sure you have carbon dioxide in your tank. You're gonna need to turn it on at a certain time, turn it off at a certain time, or if you don't want to do that manually, you have to buy the automator. So maraming intricacies, and a lot of people would like to know in the hobby na which one of them are which one of the plants are CO2 required? Because I don't want to buy them because I don't want to use CO2 for my tank because it's a hassle. So you have to know all of these pain points for you to turn your hobby into a business. And I think crowdsourcing is a really good way to find out, to ask people if it's gonna work or not, like price points, pain points, how you're gonna be solving it, and just gathering that information and feedback is very, very important for you when you're starting out a hobby business. What are the common hobbies that you think can be turned into a business? Huh. I don't have a lot in mind, but I do know that there was a time where board games was it really boomed, and we have board game cafes. That's a hobby that turned into a business that went crazy because like the rent of those places I know is expensive, but they were still making money selling the board games themselves and selling food to make sure that you have a good experience playing the board games. And I have visited a board game cafe, and they provide a really good experience. You can eat there. Food is not bad. They have beverages, and the people who serve you, they know how to play the board games. Makes for a really good experience because like there are a lot of times actually that you're just fumbling in how to play a certain game and you're not sure and you need someone to help you or guide you. And the board game cafe experience did well when it was on its heyday. So yeah, not I couldn't think of a lot right now. I had a long day. Woke up 5 a.m. today to ride out on trail via mountain bike. So I couldn't think of a certain hobby. But yeah, aquascaping is one. The board games is one, definitely. And I think there are so many other hobbies out there, like yung mga plantitos and plantitas as well na nag-crop up nung pandemic. That's a hobby, and a lot of people turned it into a business. They're actually doing quite well right now. Even today, they're doing quite well. So there's actually a lot. I just can't enumerate a lot from my head, but I know there's a lot of hobbies that can be turned into a business if you're really passionate about it. You have energy. You can sacrifice sleep. You can sacrifice money for it. So I think you can turn it into a business. I know a lot about my craft, but not about how to start and run a company. What do I need to do to change that? You have to learn how to start and run a company. So, how to start a company is not that hard. In terms of legal speak, you just have to register it in DTI or SEC if you want to go in. If you want to go corporate agad. So, starting a company not that hard. Running it a lot harder. So hiring people, making sure that you serve your market well, making sure that you're still the best at what you do. Those are the things that I think are going to make it difficult for you. Leading people as well, very hard. Managing them, also very hard. Two different things, but both hard things that you need to do. So those are some things that you're going to have to learn from mentors, from books, from podcasts. I learned a lot of them when I was starting out from books, and I had a couple of mentors as well who I could ask questions from. So this is a really good thing that you're asking me this question because now you're gonna have ideas. Some books that I suggest you start with is Start with Why, Simon Sinek, and Good to Great by Jim Collins. Those are really good places to start with. Yeah. How to foster employee loyalty. Loyalty is a two-way street. If you show it, they're gonna show it back, right? If they don't show it back, those are particularly evil kind of people. They pay evil with good, so get rid of them. But people who have good heart, they're grateful, may utang na loob. Yan ang importante for me. People have to have utang na loob. Like I'm one of the people who has utang na loob. That's why I also don't like owing people favors. I don't like owing people favors because I have utang na loob, and I feel like I have to pay it back. And some people, when they call the favor, it could be outrageous. So you have to make sure that you have people in the team who have utang na loob. They are grateful. They're thankful to you. They have loyalty to you for what you've done, for what you stand for for the contributions you've done for the team and the company, for your character. They respect you. All of those things play a huge factor. Also, if you have a certain employee in your team who is disloyal to you, who gossips about you, who slanders you, especially if this person is on a higher position, like a leadership position, get rid of them. That's going to be a sickness and a cancer in your organization. So that breaks down even the most loyal employees. That breaks them down. If you have someone in leadership position that's not loyal to you, get rid of them immediately. So yeah, there are so many ways showing your employees how good you are, and really, having integrity, being a one man person in work, at home, when no one sees you in your decisions. That is very important. Having integrity is very important. Serving and helping your people is also very important. Teaching them, making sure they learn the craft, making sure they're successful at work, at what they do. That fosters loyalty. There are so many ways to build it, and there are also so many ways that it could break down. Sometimes not to your fault. Sometimes it's just because you're keeping disloyal or evil, particularly evil people in your team, especially in the leadership role. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Why do millennials leave their work abruptly? How do you prevent that from happening to the team? So, actually, one of the very first episodes that we have on Leadership Stack tackles this. Millennials are, it can go both ways. Sometimes the workplace that they are in doesn't really know how to serve them. Traditional pa rin. It's not purpose driven, the company. And a lot of millennials are purpose driven. We have an itch and that's to, leave a dent in the world. Steve Jobs keeps talking about this, and I think it's true for a lot of millennials that we want to have some sort of significance and purpose in our work. So it could be about the workplace not being able to serve them well. And it could also be about that millennials are, the attention span is really much shorter. It's not just millennials, generally people today in the digital world, in this on demand economy, our attention span has shrunk significantly. A goldfish's attention span is up to 8 seconds. The average digital consumer has an attention span of 6 seconds, lower than a goldfish, and the avid digital user has an attention span of just 2 short seconds. That's a sad statistic, but it's the truth. And if we have such short attention spans, then it could also roll over to how we see our work, how we see our jobs. A lot of millennials also see work as a means to an end, to a life of travel, of fun, of experience. And that is why they see work as a job. Very few people see their work as a calling. We also are stricken with the sickness of the grass is greener on the other side. When the truth is, the grass is greener where you water it. And if you're working in an environment where the culture is good, where the leaders are loyal to their people and the people are loyal to their leaders, the more you water the grass, the better it is for the entire organization. And that's going to be paid back to you in dividends, even if you're just an employee there. How do you prevent that from happening to the team? You have to have safeguards, and you have to have a culture that is not a quitting for nothing culture. So at SEO Hacker, we make sure that our contracts are actually tied up and backed up with to prevent people from just upping and leaving, from just going AWOL. And we make sure as well that our interview process is very long, extensive, and is able to screen out a lot of people who are going to just go AWOL or quit in the middle of their contract with us. So that helps a lot. And yeah, you have to have safeguards. That's what I'd say. And your culture has to be a culture where people can see that there's really growth there. The leaders are growing, the people in the grassroots are growing. You're really having growth initiatives. You communicate well and often with the team. They people a lot, especially millennials, we can read signals. We can kasi millennial pala ako. So I'm age 33, turning 33 this year, and millennials are between 24 to 40 years old today. So we can sense when a certain environment is not healthy and we want to get out. So if the culture and environment we sense is very healthy, very good, and we feel like there's going to be a good future and vision and camaraderie here, usually people won't leave. People won't leave because you rarely find a company today where the culture is really really good. It's very rare, very very rare, and people who find that often stay. How do you identify the right target market for your business? For me, I use Google. So I look at what people are searching for. So when you type in Google, it usually suggests to you certain keywords. So, for example, with since I use aquascape.ph na rin, no? With aquascape.ph, if I type on Google aquatic plants Philippines or aquatic plants for sale Philippines, Google will suggest a lot of keywords related or relevant to it. And if a lot of keywords popped up, that's a pretty good sign. You could also use Google Trends to see if the trend is going up, going down, is it sustainable, and you will know if you have a working business there that has a good target market, that has enough business. For my aquascape.ph website and business, I also looked at how many people are searching for example, blue shrimp or Neocaridina davidi. Are people really looking for it on Google? Because if they are, they're probably looking to buy it for their own tanks. And if there's people searching for it, there's search volume. People, Google is suggesting that people are searching for it. Then there's a really good chance that you're gonna have a good sustainable business, which happened to me. There's good search volume, and I get sales. Almost. Well, I would say almost every day, if not every day already now, because I'm not really checking if we're making it every day. But I do see the emails often that we made the sale. So, and yeah, I'm not paying anything for that. No ads. We don't post on social media. There is no legwork that we're doing. People are just ordering passively because we rank very well for those keywords. How do you maintain a steady pipeline of customers? Well, I just shared with you my secret, SEO. So people are searching every day. You don't need to force them to search. They just search. And when you're number one, number two, number three, they find you, they click your website, you just make a sale passively. That's how I do it. That's how we do it for our clients as well. People search. That's the trend now. I mean, a lot of people, especially millennials, minsan when we have problems in our life, like love life or depression, we don't even ask our parents anymore. They're not the first people we ask. We don't even ask our friends anymore sometimes. They're also not the first people we ask. It's a sad thing for me to say this, but a lot of people actually ask Google first. We ask Google first. What do I do when I'm depressed? What do I do? I sprained my ankle today. I sprained my left ankle. It's been a long while since I sprained my ankle. I think the last time was when I was playing basketball in college. But the first thing I did is not to ask people what to do. It's to ask Google what to do. And we find ourselves in, having a culture where we ask Google first. Ask Google first. And if we all know that's true, then SEO just makes so much sense. And this is why, for aquascape.ph, it's just all SEO. We don't do social media marketing for it. We have a Facebook page for it. But if you go check it out right now, nothing really is happening there. Because I told my people, don't post, don't run ads. I don't really want a huge influx of orders. I don't want that to happen. I just want a steady stream of continuous orders, and that's it. How do you stand out in a client pitch amongst competition? Client pitch is all about the client. It's all about the client. If you're able to read the client well, make them laugh, communicate well with them, connect with them, that's it. That's how you stand out, because there are so many people in client pitches that really suck. They're really bad in pitches. They just read the PowerPoint, read from a script, or they have memorized the script already. The FAQ is in their head, and they just answer, frequently asked questions by the clients. They don't even connect. So people who connect, that's really important. That's how I stand out, because I make sure I connect to the people I talk with. I make sure that I make them realize, yes, that's true. When people actually tell you you're right, those two words, that's very important. When they tell me in a pitch, Sean, you're right, I know I have them. Because rarely will you tell someone you're right unless you really agree with them. Sometimes people will say yes, and that's it. But yeses I find are cheap. Yeses I find are cheap, especially in a pitch. When people are saying yes, it's cheap. They probably said yes to the last guy, to the last girl who pitched. But when they say you're right, you're right, that's how you know you got them. So connecting with your um, I would say purchasers or the C-level executives in a pitch, that is critical for you. And you have to hone that skill. Connecting with people is a skill. Taking the time to communicate with them so that they really understand what you mean, that is a skill that you can hone. What are the best ways to market your products and services? I use SEO. Social media marketing works as well, but it depends on the product and service. I'd say a lot of people in the aquascaping hobby actually use Facebook. They sell on Facebook. Even the livestock like assassin snails, the guppies, the shrimps, the plants, they actually sell on Facebook. And I'd say they're doing well. I'd say they're able to sell. It's just not for me to keep on going to Facebook and posting. And oh man, like I don't like doing all of that every day or every so often. It's not for me. I'd rather just people come in, they order, we serve them by shipping out to them, and that's it. That's how I like things done. Also, when you post on Facebook, daming tanong, sometimes madaming orders influx. Hindi ko rin naman kaya i-serve pag may influx kasi I'm just one man growing all of these things in my backyard. It's not like I have a farm. And so it doesn't serve me well to have an influx of them. Kaya the search really makes a lot of sense for me. It would depend on how well you structure your operations. So if you try to sell a lot but you can't really serve them when they're actually inquiring and buying from you, that's going to be bad for your branding. So that's also one big reason why we don't sell on Facebook and we'd rather sell via SEO. So yeah, but for me right now, it's digital marketing. I mean, people are on their smartphones every day. The first thing you probably pick up, and the last thing you probably put down is your smartphone. Nothing else. I mean, there's nothing else that you consistently pick up first thing and put down last thing, except for your smartphone. So if that's the truth, then we can conclude easily that people are on digital every day. People are connected to the internet every day. And if they're connected to the internet every day, then that's your target. Marketing is all about aiming where your target is and shooting there. Everything else is a miss. If you aim and shoot where your market is not, you're just wasting marketing budget and advertising budget. So since we can conclude that people are on digital every day, then one of the best ways and cheapest ways to actually market and advertise is digital. And people and companies who have been ahead of the curve in doing this are actually reaping a ton of things right now that we are in the pandemic and traditional marketing is not working as well as it used to. What are the essential types of content for digital marketing? There's a lot of content that you can do. So I know that our previous guest Tony Aquino did TikTok, and that's really how she um, was able to disseminate her content about personal finance, investing. That's her platform. Marvin Guillermo also says the same thing. Carlo Opler right now is on TikTok. So there's a lot of content that you can do. That's video, that's short video, 1 to 3 minutes lang yun. But they also do really well on YouTube. They also do really well on Facebook, and that's long form video content. Then there's also the written word, which for me is my preferred way. Writing blogs, I write blogs, I publish my thoughts, still written. Medyo shy kasi ako. So the video, the TikTok, medyo hindi pa ako maka get into the bandwagon on TikTok. Although I hear a lot of good things about TikTok, the organic reach is really good now, and it's just that I find it hard to do it. No, but I could do. I think I could do that as well. The point is, there's a lot of content that you can do. There's a lot of content you can get into different types of platforms as well. There's written podcast. This podcast is an audio first podcast. So in Spotify, it's just audio. You're just gonna listen to this podcast. But we also translate it into YouTube, which is an audio and video platform. And then we actually transcribe this podcast and publish it on the blog so that it can be searched for and found by people who are typing on Google about, a question they have in mind that the podcast addresses. So one recording, one episode turns into three different types of content platforms: written, video and audio only. For me, this podcast, that's it. Like one shoot. So there are so many types of content for digital marketing that you can do. For SEO Hacker, we focus on the written word because people still search. And I mean, Google's top 10 listing on the search results are all about the written word. For the most part, it's all about written word. So that is still one of the best types of content for me for digital marketing. And people still read. People still read. They might read shorter. Their attention span might be a lot shorter, but they still read. So make your stuff short, concise, true, and really valuable. And that works. Question from Mitch: can you share with us any pickup lines or conversation starters you've used to break the ice with someone you want to do business with? Can be virtually or in person. Pickup lines. I don't have pickup lines, but conversation starters. Usually, when I meet with them, sales is all about relationship building. Usually, you can start with, "Hey, what do you do? Hey, by the way, what do you do?" Right? Pakilala ka. Tapos usually yun yung tatanungin mo eh. For me, that works really well. That's actually what I use, I don't know, like 95% of the time. Hey, by the way, what do you do? And you can also qualify them. Potential target market ko ba to? Potential client ko ba to? Based on the answer that the person gives you. So, yeah, that works. Like people, here's the thing. People love to talk about themselves. That's true. 100%. People love to talk about themselves. Very, very rarely would you find someone who doesn't like talking about himself or herself. So asking them, hey, by the way, what do you do? Hey, what's your business? Hey, what's your family business? That works really well. It's not a pickup line, definitely a conversation starter. And if you read the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you just have to focus on asking your negotiation counterpart, or your potential client stuff about themselves. Don't talk about yourself. Just learn as much as you can about the person. That's how you connect with them then. I'm just connecting it with the question earlier. When you're in the pitch and you're one of the people pitching for the project, that's how you connect with them, by knowing a little bit more about each of the people that you're pitching to. That's how you connect. You know them better. That's already an advantage right there. So asking them, hey, what do you do? Knowing about their hobbies, knowing about what they love, that's gonna get you the upper hand already. So yeah, simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Could be just simple. What do you do? By the way, what do you do? From Mitch, I found a coach, and when is the best time to ask for a job or a job referral? Okay. Should expectations like that be established as soon as the mentoring or coaching relationship has started? Job or job referral? So I'm not exactly sure I understand the question. Might be me because again it's been a long day for me. So you found the coach. You're looking for a job or job referral from the coach. Like you're are you waiting for your coach to let you know what might be the best fit for you in terms of work? Should expectations like that be established? I think for coaching, it's all about you. It's all about your goal, what you want to come out of the coaching relationship. So, what you tell the coach to be the goal, usually they're going to be asking you questions that lead to that. So, if you ask your coach, hey, I want to learn more about the right fit for me in terms of jobs, in terms of work, in terms of calling. I want to know my calling. I want to find out. Can you help me do that? If you tell that to a coach, usually they'll veer the questions towards that. Coaching is all about introspection, to help you think, to help you see within yourself. Diba? Introspection. Introspection is all about knowing about yourself better. The coach helps you to introspect, to inspect yourself. So that's something that you set at the beginning of the coaching relationship. You do know the answer. It's just that, here's the thing. People nowadays actually lost the ability to think. It sounds so absurd. It sounds so absurd, but that's the truth. People have lost the ability to think about themselves, their lives, their future. When we think, we usually think about problems at work. We usually think about the last episode or movie that we watched. Entertainment. We have so much entertainment, we have so much work that we don't pause and think about our lives. What do we have? What should we be grateful for? What do I really want to accomplish this year? How do I want my attitude to change and improve? How can I improve my marriage, my relationship with this person? How can I add value to this person in my team? We have lost the capability to think because of the digital world, because of the business of the world, because of so much entertainment that we can entertain ourselves to stupidity and death. We have lost that. And coaching helps you to find that again within yourself. Okay? To be honest, you can do that if you have a certain time and day to pause, think, and write a journal, meditate, pray, read God's word. If you're able to do that, coaching still helps, but not as much. But if you're the person who is not into the habit of doing that, you don't pause, you don't think, you don't journal, you don't pray, you don't meditate, you don't read God's word, you don't have time for that, coaching will immensely help you. Shout out to Mr. Jason Law. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you have gotten a lot of ideas from this Leadership Stack Live. I know you're running your own show that is also live on I think it's also a Thursday night, was it? But yeah, so definitely check out Jason and his podcast and show. He's also on Facebook and Spotify. From Patrick, what do you think will be the impact of Apple integrating the permission on privacy for businesses like Facebook that tracks your activities? So I think that Apple's move to remove to ask permission, actually that's all it is, They're gonna ask permission from their users now for apps to track them, their behavior, their activity, cookies. I think that's a pretty good thing. I think that's a good thing, actually. I mean, I'm a marketer and I would love that data, but asking for permission is the right thing to do. So it's a privacy issue, it's a gray area. Google and a lot of tech companies have been lobbying for this, and a lot of politicians have lobbied against it as well. Privacy, So a lot of tech companies are have too much power. Remember when Facebook just um, made that snap in Australia and removed Facebook from Australia? It it pissed the Australian government off. It really did. But you realize there that Facebook has so much power, right? Because like suddenly emergencies in Australia didn't have communication channels just because their Facebook page went down. They can't use Messenger. You realize how reliant you have been on Facebook when Facebook is gone from your country altogether. But I think it's the right thing to do for Apple to ask permission for access to these data. I'm sure Facebook will find a way for you to give your permission, kind of force you to give it to continue using their application. That's usually how it works, right? I mean, there are a lot of times na you can't use an app if you don't give permission to this, and this. Even if the app really doesn't need that information for you to use it, but they just want to collect your data. So I think that's how it's going to play out. I might be wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but that might be how it's going to play out. From Patrick, what's your take on AR and VR? Do you think we're close to streamlining these technologies? What possible practical applications can we use for them? Can we use them for in our daily lives? AR and VR are really good right now for games. I know that we have a lot of VR games right now, and if you've ever tried one, it's a really good experience, especially if the game is good. Do you think we are close to streamlining? I think that it's still early and a lot of the big companies haven't caught up to it. That's what I think. But once it has once it hits mainstream, there's gonna be a lot of developments in those technologies, which is not happening right now because it's not mainstream yet. Maybe because again we have entertained ourselves to stupidity that we don't a lot of people don't actually think of exploring a lot of new technology right now because we're just so entertained. We're just so used to having things on demand and living life the best way we know how that we don't even take time to pause and think and explore as well. So yeah, but the applications are huge. I think we are on the very early stages when it comes to augmented reality and virtual reality. There are a lot of applications, and I think that a lot of companies can still use and or startups could still innovate in these areas and launch products that are going to be a killer product that would just take over the market. Another question from Patrick, no bias aside, what's the most difficult website SEO hackers done with regards to technical challenges? Technical challenges. Huh. Well, the websites that ask us to develop systems are going to be the most difficult websites. So we're not really a system development company kasi. But sometimes our service is so good for some clients that they ask us to actually do some systems for them. There are clients today that actually were developing some systems for in their website. It's so funny. But that's how extra mile we go. We go the really extra mile for our clients just to serve them and make sure that they're happy with us. So all the way to making some systems. I mean, that's out of scope already of our services. But in order to make the client happy, we go out of our way to do it. All right. So Julie Chua, it's getting dimmer and dimmer each episode. Yeah, I have again I it's been a long day. I woke up 5 a.m. I didn't want to hurt my eyes with the light being in my face. So I actually had it reflected from the wall. I'm sorry for making it dim. I hope it's not bothersome to those of you watching. But thanks for pointing that out, Julie. Um from Mitch, thanks, Sean. It's a life coach. I'm just afraid he might think I have an ulterior motive with starting the relationship. It started with coaching session, now helping him launch his online presence. Yeah, coaching will have a good. It will build a good relationship between you and your coach. So it happens. Sometimes you get businesses out of it. Sometimes you get partnerships out of it. But what's important is you really get the value of coaching. You learn something about yourself. You were able to inspect your heart and introspect on what you want your future to be and achieve those goals. Yeah. And Patrick, go TikTok if you'll put content there. Actually, we have content there, but it's repurposed content from YouTube. So I haven't done yung nag-record ako from my phone and I'm talking like, like Marvin, Fitz, and the others have done. So I haven't done that. But um, I'm thinking about it. So many people has told me about TikTok that, oh man, I feel like I'm not jumping into it just because I have so much stuff that I'm doing already. That's actually the truth. I have so much stuff I'm doing already that it's hard for me to commit. When I commit kasi to a certain platform, I really commit long term. Like this Leadership Stack Live, we started and we've been faithful. We missed maybe one or two episodes, one or two Thursdays lang but we've been very consistent. Consistency for me is very, very important. Discipline, consistency. The podcast, we have not missed a week of publishing in the podcast. That is very important. That is how we've grown so much in the recent years. Um, when I started the podcast, the follower count, we're getting like one a day, two a day, three a day. Masaya na ako sa three a day noon when we were starting out. Uy, plus 3 followers tayo sa Spotify today. Now we're getting 10, 17, sometimes 20 a day. So it's growing, and that's a really good thing. And it's consistent. It's consistent. Those numbers are consistent. 10, 10 to 20, somewhere there every day. So I'm happy about that. And that's because consistency has a lot to do with it. And if I can't be consistent with TikTok, I kind of not want to start because like people are gonna be wondering what happened to Sean, diba? So yun lang yung yun lang yung pinag-iisipan ko pa if I'm really gonna commit. So yeah, guys, that's all the questions. It's a wrap. Thanks so much for being here. Almost 1 hour then. So actually, really good questions today. I hope you learned a lot. And again, we are online every Thursday at 8 p.m. We are on YouTube as well. If you prefer watching our episodes, we have guests from all over the world. David Angel is from the US. And the sales stuff you're going to learn from him in that episode. I asked him a lot of stuff. I asked him like how his best negotiation tactic is. You might want to check those episodes out. It's there on the link, leadme.ph/YouTube. Or if you just want to listen to it because, you want to learn while you're exercising, you want to learn while you're driving, while you're taking a shower, you can opt for the podcast on Spotify, leadme.ph/Spotify. There you go. So that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I hope you have a great rest of the week ahead. And until next time, keep leading.